Saat kita bersama untuk merayakan Ramadan dan Hari Raya, kami di Kedutaan Amerika Syarikat di Kuala Lumpur bersyukur dapat bekerjasama dengan Masjid Jamek untuk membagikan makanan kepada mereka yang kurang bernasib baik pada bulan Ramadan ini. Bagi pihak warga Amerika Syarikat di Kedutaan Amerika Syarikat di Kuala Lumpur, kami ingin mengucapkan Selamat Hari Raya kepada semua. Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya. Wow.
Thank you so much for that wish from the US Embassy. I envy your Malay.
Really?
It's really good. Yeah. Congratulations on that too. We have with us in the studio today like two wonderful guests from the US Embassy who will be speaking to us about Raya. We have Andrew Johnson, who is the Deputy Economic Counselor, and also Erfana Dar, who is the Management Counselor from the US Embassy. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, we were told that you guys came here to Malaysia actually not more than 2 years ago. So that's actually around the time when the pandemic surfaced. So I understand that your Raya celebration must have been a bit watered down. But
it was subdued. As these things go, but I think in many ways really focused on the importance of Eid and what we're trying to do, especially during the month of Ramadan. It was a very good opportunity to really look inwards since we couldn't look outwards really at all. But in all fairness, between last year and this year, I think we've both been very introspective and grateful to be healthy during such difficult times.
Alhamdulillah. So we haven't really got a chance to show you how we party here. So to speak. Can you tell us what your experiences were like back in the States before coming over? How was Eid celebrated in the US?
Sure. I mean, well, one of the things that's amazing about this in the United States, right, is that we're able to get a lot of different experiences because the United States is a big country, and so you have differences in people's expectations for different times of year. So, I mean, I have gone to incredible iftars that were outside with people grilling and, you know, big outdoor celebrations. And then in other situations, especially, you know, we have large communities that are up in parts of the Midwest in the states of Michigan and elsewhere where, you know, my first few Ramadans that I can remember in the United States were with snow and ice, and they, you know, coincided with other big U.S. holidays. So you get to have this huge range of experiences. And I think for us, one of the things that's been really striking here in Malaysia since we got here 2 Julys ago now, has been you don't have the obvious cues of big changes in seasons and weather. And so I think one of the things, even during the pandemic, that's been really striking here is that even when people aren't able maybe to celebrate out as much as they want, you know, the city in KL, it's still, you know, festooned with color and light, and, you know, not just in the malls, but on the streets. And people make, I think, even extra effort right now to really help bring that spirit to life, even when maybe, you know, we can't go to people's houses as much as we would like or other things. So I've really appreciated that both of our years here so far.
I mean, we certainly did. We normally would do sort of decorations, you know, the last 10 days of Ramadan. And this year we moved it up, you know, just to bring some light and activity to the house. And so our windows look out and our neighbors can see. And I've seen other neighbors do the same, perhaps a bit earlier. But, you know, in the States, it's also important to note that as supportive, depending if you're a student or an employee, as your employer or university might be, life goes on according to its normal, somewhat intense rhythms. So if you are a student and it's exams, right, you know, Ramadan takes on a very different meaning. If you're an athlete, you know, that takes on a different meaning, or if you're working. Andrew and I met in doing a particularly interesting job in DC where it was shift work, and it was our operations center, and it was 24/7. And that particular Ramadan, you know,
it's like it's the crisis response center for our State Department in Washington.
Wow!
So it's, you know, when we're all taught as American diplomats and foreign service officers, you know, if something really bad happens,
call that number.
They drill from your first day on the job this one phone number into you. It's like the first thing you have to do is
Yeah.
So it was our first Ramadan, and we were both working in this office where we get those calls. You know,
yeah. So there was like, just a minute, I have to break my fast. Just 1 second. You know,
so that was, a good lesson too, that, life doesn't always get to stop and pause, but you still take a moment.
Yeah. So I think experiences like this, it kind of make us realize how lucky we are here in Malaysia, because, the experiences of Muslim minorities around the world when they celebrate Ramadan is very different when you compare to what we're used to here in Malaysia. So I hope that, this exchange here can actually help you appreciate a little bit more the time you've spent in Ramadan, especially here in Malaysia.
Absolutely. That's been a huge blessing, even though I know this is a very unusual Ramadan the last couple of years for the whole world, the whole world. I knew last year, I was telling Andrew, of course we were sort of joking, I said, it's serious when the Hajj is canceled, right? You're in a different normal, but to be in a place where it is still externally very much a part of day-to-day life, and, I have this wonderful trainer, and I tried to say, it's Ramadan and I'm fasting, and she looked at me and she said, oh, you're the only one fasting, and I was like, oh, right.
Get away with it.
No excuse. Hit the gym.
Yeah, and she actually said, she's like, you have to suffer, and I was like, I do, because she is herself suffering, so it's been extraordinarily connected, even if a bit lonesome. We miss our families, naturally.
Well, and we're here with our children, right? So we have a son who's turning 9 this coming year, and a baby girl. And I think especially for our son, who before, we were here long enough before the pandemic that we were able to go to the mosque and just have that as part of our normal rhythm here in a way that hasn't always been as easy. And so even as we shifted into the MCO, and he's faster on Grab and Food Panda and anything else than I am. Even he's figured out he locked that in quick. But even for him to be able to have had that context, and then with his classmates and people, just to still be able to appreciate that he's in a community where there are people are participating and sharing in that experience, and we're going to, having iftars, even if we can't do it the way we'd like to, is still.
Well, and I would say across the spectrum of the sort of cultural and religious celebrations, he has a good understanding of respect for, other religious holidays and other cultural celebrations, which has been really important. I have to say, just on a somewhat lighter note, he discovered halal marshmallows for the first time in his life, and it changed his world. So,
where are you guys getting them?
Anywhere we can get
it's all over here.
But he flips them to the back, and he sees the little halal, and he's like, we're good. And, 5 packages of marshmallows go into the cart.
I'll be calling family back home saying, we got the good stuff right here.
Right, yeah, he was happy.
So since we touched on food, I would like to know, what do you guys enjoy when you're back in the States, as opposed to what you're currently enjoying here in Malaysia?
Well, I think we're both very influenced, especially during Ramadan, by the places we've lived in the Foreign Service. My first tour was in Côte d'Ivoire, and in all of West Africa, there's a wonderful juice made from hibiscus flowers. And, it was my first tour. I was 24 years old. It was my first Ramadan really by myself, and I'll never forget the taste of that hibiscus tea, right? And so I've tried to recreate it many times, haven't been able to. It just turns out that actually here, one of our colleagues is also from West Africa, and we had a very small fast break, and he brought that tea. And, so that was a really nice kind of reminder. For you, shorba, lentil shorba is a must from your time in the Middle East.
Sure. So I'd say, I spent a long time living and working in the Middle East, and wherever I go, I try to learn how to cook a lot of the things that are there. So, I've built up a little bit of and the great thing here is that all of those ingredients are, you can find everything from all over the world here amazingly. And so we've been able to kind of cook all of these cuisines, from our favorites from when we were in Europe to things from the Middle East. And then again, the MCO has challenged us a little bit, but this amazing taste sensation that you get from all of the Malay dishes has just been nonstop fun.
But, coming back to home, I think we both really miss our mom's cooking. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Happy Mother's Day, Anita. But you just have to be home for that. So for my part, the thing I really, really miss is traditional Kashmiri namkeen chai, nin chai, which is salty. It is not sweet. That's a matter of debate in Malaysia.
Please stop. We're fasting right now.
And I really miss my mother-in-law's wonderful niswa bread, which is a Finnish bread made with cardamom. So, really just family.
That's
the things that your mom.
Explosion of flavors right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's great to hear Eid celebrations from another country, in another country. I mean, because I'm quite big with our traditions at the kampung. You know, we have our photo shoot, visiting the mosque, the cemetery. I wonder what do you guys do during on Eid day in America? What is the itinerary?
Very similar, actually. This is something that across the world I have taken a lot of comfort in. Over the last 17 years in the Foreign Service. In the morning, you get up, you have a very light breakfast, right? Meaning only 3 fried foods and 2 types of teas. And then there's the rush for the clothes, right? Your new clothes, and then the photo shoot. And then go to the mosque for all of your, 2 rakats, right? And then you eat more. And then, depending on where you are in the States, like you might get a day off from school, and then everybody goes to the movie theater. But, it also depends on time of year, right? Because of seasons.
Right, and weather.
So, but it is extraordinarily similar no matter where we've been.
And I'll say, we did manage here before the last lockdown. We have a very stylish son, mashallah, and he was very into, he and I getting batik that matched. So we went, and it was a process. We couldn't just go one place. So we did get to, so we do have, we found the right selection for this here. So, that tradition, we're not just keeping it alive here, but this has actually been a place to kind of up our Raya clothing game a little bit, which I'm excited about.
So your experiences here, of course, have been a little bit subdued, as you mentioned, because of the lockdowns. So what kind of virtual elements have you added to the celebration to make it kind of connected with the rest of your family and friends?
Wow, virtual. So I think, one thing we try to do, especially in our embassy community, is stay virtually very connected. We're a mission of a couple hundred people. And, last year we did several sort of story times for kids, sort of celebrating what Ramadan is using children's books. We've also really tried to make sure that our children understand that there are people behind WhatsApp. And so, incorporating actual photographs with the video call with grandma and grandpa. Our daughter was born here and has really never seen her grandparents. And so, it's a fine balance.
And I think we have this amazing group of staff at our embassy. Of course, most of our embassy team is actually, they're Malaysian. And so, even though we're not all in the office at the same time, especially during Ramadan, we've tried to do a lot of things where people are sharing recipes and, leaving things for us. So, even in this kind of a situation, we can still work out ways to connect. And I think, that's pretty universal.
Nice. So thank you very much for coming on board and sharing your experiences.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And I hope you guys have taken away something, if not just the recipes that they've been showing on screen while they were talking. I hope that inspired you to add something to your menu this Buka Puasa.
Thank you so much.
Talking to you guys have definitely made me very, very getting more and more excited for Raya.
Absolutely, almost there.
Especially talking about Raya clothes, because I am planning mine now, actually, Terence. But if you are still behind on that plan, you might get some ideas from Zoe, because Zoe apparently is going to be showing us some fashion collection, or Raya fashion collection. So Zoe, please take it away.